Welcome to the ANEW Body Insight podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogrammed Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. And Chantal Donnelly, physical therapist and author of Settled, How to Find Calm in a Stress-Inducing World. Here at City Club Los Angeles, we follow our guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back to the ANEW Body Insight podcast. We are back for the second half of our episode with legendary talent and humanitarian Kiki Ebsen at City Club Los Angeles. Welcome back, Kiki.
Thank you.
Yay. Kiki gave us some amazing background about her life in music and about her background with her father, Buddy Ebsen's influence. We cannot wait to learn more.
Good to have you back. We are going to take a little bit of a side shift here and start talking about your charity foundation. So you are the founder of the Healing Equine Ranch. Can you share with us how that got started, what it is, and what led you to create this charity?
Well, surely. I'd be happy to. So I am a lifelong equestrian. I grew up where I'm lucky to live on the family ranch. We live there, my husband Steve, and I've had horses my whole life, and it's been my obsession. Mm-hmm. My sisters had horses, so I couldn't. When I got my pony when I was 5 years old, it was the best day of my life. I remember the day they said you're getting a pony.
That's a girl's dream.
Oh my gosh.
5-year-old, you get a pony.
And
that's
I did
a dream.
I jumped on top of the bed on the mattress and just like screamed. I just couldn't believe it. So loved it. And I've had horses, and I showed horses as a child and as a youth. And as I got into high school, you know, life took over in my career, and I got into music, and I left the horse world for a while. And then somewhere in my early 30s, I wanted to get back into the horses. My sisters still had horses, so I was still able to ride, but I wanted my own horse. So I looked into the possibility of rescuing a horse. And I had just become familiar with the term natural horsemanship, which is kind of a way of working with horses in their language, in a language they understand. So up to then, all I knew was you break a horse, and you break them to ride, and then you control them, and you pull them to stop and kick them to go. That's sort of, a lot of people just think that that's what being with horses is about, is that they're stupid and you basically have to control them. So, and that's a generalization, but there is a huge movement over to this place of where we actually start to talk to them using this sort of pressure release language of when they do the thing that is desirable, you take the pressure off, and that's a whole nother podcast. But I mean, it's just it's really a very, very wonderful communicative way where they get a say, you get a say, and you partner as opposed to control. So we're looking at partnership. So I had just gotten into that, and I found an opportunity to rescue a horse, a baby, just a 4-month-old filly, from an industry called the Premarin industry. I don't know if you've ever heard of Premarin. Mm-mm. Prempro. Yeah. It's an estrogen replacement drug. Mm-hmm. So pregnant, they make it out of pregnant mare urine, and it's an estrogen-rich byproduct of the urine of these pregnant mares.
Wow.
I know. So it's kind of like, wow.
Don't
okay, we're
going
going there.
that behind my ears.
Anyway, the mare has to have the foal is a byproduct of the drug industry. So then those horses were sent, if they weren't adopted out, they were sent to slaughter. No. These little babies. So the website, and the good thing is that production of that drug is on the decline with bioidentical hormones. But there were 60,000 babies a year being turned over to get these, to make this drug. Right. And it's such a waste, So my sister and I, we looked at the website when this was 24 years ago and saw this little baby, and I went, let's just get her. What? Come on, so he's had her shipped out and they're basically free. They're looking for homes, right? They come out on these consolidated shipments, and this 4-month-old baby horse showed up and we named her Rose, and she was the flagship of our whole program. Well, what it was supposed to be is me adopting these horses, rehabbing them, and then placing them. That didn't work so well.
You couldn't let them go.
No. So the next year I got another Premarin foal, and then the next year I got another, and another, and another, and I had the hardest time placing them because they started to illuminate these parts of me. And I've developed these relationships with them, and they're like family. You know, we don't have children, so I'm like, oh, I couldn't. Oh. So I was able to place a couple, but after 6 or 7, I also got the opportunity to start working alongside psychologists in a new sort of therapy. It was equine-assisted therapy. It was very new to me and kind of new in our area. And I had the ranch, I had the horses, and I had the therapist with the contacts, and we started working with treatment centers in the Malibu area. And it was so invigorating. It's so interesting to watch these people come in on their 30-day programs and just spend one day with the horses, and it completely changed their perspective. And at that time there was a lot of metaphor work, like that horse reminds me of my younger daughter, and that's my ex-wife, and which is valid from a processing standpoint because it brings up topics. But now as it morphs more into this sort of building relationship with the horse is not just a tool anymore, but they're an energetic, sentient being that can make requests as well as receive requests. So now we're starting to get into the area in this new sort of modality that I'm working with, is trauma-informed equine-assisted services. And we're working with Bruce Perry's model of, ground-up regulation, working with neuroplasticity, creating new neural pathways, of building relationships with the horse, again using pressure and release, but this time giving the horse a choice and starting to examine what you bring to the table. Like if you come with a whole bunch of this, that horse is not, as a prey animal, a horse moves away from pressure. Yeah. And horses, they're prey animals, they move away from pressure. Yeah. That's their defense. Yeah. And so you start to examine how you come into it with your energy, and your breath has a lot to do with it. How you hold your breath, the tension. Now we're into somatic work with our body.
I mean, you have to connect with your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's tons of connecting with the body. We get into polyvagal theory all the time.
I write about it.
So it's really fascinating because the horses are in that. They're in the hyperarousal, and then they have their. I love the disassociation part now because I love that new area, because we used to call it. We had different names for it in natural horsemanship. The horse would be just like, oh my God, or the horse would be completely checked out with not blinking at all.
I did not know that horses dissociate.
Oh my God, all the time.
Wow.
So I have one in particular that disassociated so much and this is the kind of horse that'd be like, oh, he looks so calm, I'm just going to get on his back. Then he explodes and he bucks the person off.
Because they can't tell the difference between the stillness of the disassociation.
Exactly. They don't know the signs, and the signs are very similar to humans. Blank stare.
Yeah.
Frozen.
The head goes a little high. The breathing gets shallow.
Hypervigilant.
And they're totally disassociated.
Wow.
So you do a lot with your breath, a lot with proximity, and then you watch them come back. And a lot with repetitive patterns, rhythmic patterns to help regulate the horse and bring them back. That's part of that when we're talking about the ground-up regulation. So you've got the brainstem, then you have the movement, the limbic, or the dicephalon, and then the connection, right? The emotional connection part, and then the neocortex. So a lot of the people coming in are in this sort of thinking survival mode.
Yes.
So most
of us are.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much you can do with horses with the rhythmic patterns of walking with them, matching their steps, regulating your breath, watching their breath, matching, or just noticing. A lot of it's just notice where you are. Notice what the horse is doing.
And this is going to help someone co-regulate with another human being.
Totally.
Because it's so informative.
It's so informative. And it's embodied experiential learning.
It's what we need.
It is what we need. And so it's really emerging. And as people get to understand it, and there is the therapeutic part. So I'm not a licensed therapist, so what I do is equine-assisted learning. But I get referred a lot by therapists because I'll work with that person on regulation skills. And with the yoga part,